Hi there, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're here in the live premiere. Today, what we're going to be covering is clearing up a misunderstanding in which some people out there, after reading Justin Rounds, one of his latest replies and post on Facebook, have interpreted it as Dylan Rounds has been found, Dylan Rounds has finally been brought home, such as ashes scattered. Today, I want to clear that misunderstanding up. Did I interpret it that way? Well, at first, I was a little bit confused, I'll be honest. But then after reading over it, I thought it was talking about other stuff. And it is talking about other stuff, okay? So hopefully by the end of this video, people will be better informed and will understand the current situation, okay? So I do stress it is important for you to stick around from start to finish of this video to truly understand what's going on. And what I do want to say first and foremost, it's very unnecessary for any people in the background to be whinging or whining about this video or the title, because the main aim of this is to clear up misunderstandings from other people's perspectives and to help them. That's all this video is, okay? In addition though, later on in this video, we can also catch up on previous comments to acknowledge questions and key information there. On top of all of that, there are 2 more videos, I guess, ahead, maybe tomorrow, the day after, if there's no roadblocks or barriers, something I need to take a look at, and then another post if it's like a smaller video. If there's time, maybe that smaller video comes later tonight after this live premiere. We'll just see how things go, okay? So whilst everyone is watching right now, welcome, appreciate it. Share your thoughts, opinions and reactions in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. If you do want to add any additional comments, leave them down below. In the comment section of this video, the pinned comment, there are some additional links if you wish to check them out. If you want to catch up on previous videos, make sure to do so when you can. It'll be available and easily findable on my channel page, okay? Shout out to Cleo for last night for her super chat, very good of her. So the order of how we're going to do things today, we're going to get straight into it, okay? And this time I'm just going to use a screenshot because I guess it's just easier to do. And I'll share with you some additional images. Not all can be provided just because other people are in the photos and I don't want things to get messy. Hopefully people understand that. I'm going to also show you an example of an individual out there, key individual that interpreted it a certain way, right? Just use as an example because then it might be more relatable to other people, okay? So it is about analysing language and reading in between the lines today. That's the important focus, right? I've not seen any other people creating videos cover this, so I thought I might as well do it now before it gets out of hand in the future, possibly. I know the likes of Tom Evans are interested, Indiana's interested, Weezer's interested, etc. So hopefully this video and explanation will help them to better understand the current situation in the Dylan Rounds case. So let's get right into it now. I'm going to show you the post by Justin Rounds most recently and then go from there, okay? Here is the post by Justin Rounds on his own Facebook page, posted 30th of September at 23:46. He says, "Thank you, Ricardo Covarrubias, for getting my grandpa and Dylan Rounds International M set up and ready for Dylan to come home. If you zoom into the old house, you will see a chair on the upper porch that Dylan would sit and look over the farm when he wasn't in Lucerne. This is where he made his home. He was so proud of where he came from and where he was going," right? So, you can share your thoughts and you can react in the chat right now. Maybe there's other people out there that already understand what this post is referring to, but I'm still going to analyse it because it may help others out there, right? So it says, "Thank you for getting my grandpa's and Dylan Rounds International M." What is an international M? It's a form of tractor, okay? So it's Justin's grandpa and Dylan Rounds tractor, okay? And we will, get like a photo of it shortly if needed. It says, for setting it up and ready for Dylan to come home. So I believe the way it's worded here is the tractor that belonged to the grandpa and Dylan Rounds has been brought home, and it's awaiting for Dylan's arrival once he's brought home. Now, how and why would you bring somebody home? Well, when someone has passed away, it ties in line with ashes. When you bring a person home after they've died, you're bringing back their ashes. Some people scatter them, other people have them in their homes or closer to them. So I think that's the aim of the parents there, if they ever do find Dylan Rounds, to bring his ashes home, so it's next to the International M tractor. Maybe even scatter them near to the tractor, or maybe on the land it sits on, right? Anything else? If you zoom into the old house, you will see a chair on the upper porch that Dylan would sit and look over the farm. So that's more looking back retrospectively, and that was to do with when he wasn't in Lucerne. So it just provides a bit of a backstory there as to what Dylan Rounds got up to, right? So let's just see an example of how somebody interpreted it differently. They said, what does Justin mean when he says ready for Dylan to come home? Have they located him? Brenner's Court for tomorrow? Well, obviously not anymore. I wonder if he is talking, something odd going on. A couple of other people thought about the ashes of Dylan being brought home, but basically what it's saying is the tractor belonging to Dylan and the grandpa has been brought back. It's just awaiting for Dylan himself to be brought back next. So basically this means that Dylan Rounds has not been found just yet. Okay? And here is a photo, the example. Now, there was a tractor of Dylan Rounds next to it when he was much, much younger as a child, but I didn't want to show that photo because other people were within it, and I think it could get a little bit messy with YouTube and people out there, as you know. But picture it, and you can check it on the Facebook page if you wish to yourself on Justin's, that tractor, what you see on screen, back then was taken as a photo where Dylan Rounds at a younger age was stood near it and some other people. I guess it might have been entered into some kind of competition or something. And after all these years, it's finally been brought back to this house. Whose house is that? The grandparents or Justin's grandpa's house or something? I don't know entirely because I don't, locate or look at everybody's house, but I'm sure you'll have a better idea. The main thing is the tractor, what you see here, has been brought back home. Dylan Rounds has not been brought back home just yet because he's not been located. Okay? You see some sunflowers there. Said something about looking through the window, through one of the house, that you'd see the chair and it could overlook the field, the farm. I'm not quite sure which window that is, but it's not too important. So there's that tractor. You see like a sign there. It's a bit blurry and pixelated, unfortunately, but you get the idea. Now, some people need more proof or it needs confirming more. We'll just type in International M online and then you'll see the search results. Here we are. I typed it in International M, just like in Justin's post, and it says Farmall M. The Farmall M is a large 3-plough row crop tractor produced by International Harvester under the Farmall brand from 1939 to 1953. You see a photo of it on the right hand side in red, and there's another one down there, Tractors Farmall M, International M. So that's what it basically is, a tractor with 2 big back wheels and then 2 very small wheels at the front with the exhaust on the side or on top stuck up. So that's basically what Justin was referring to, in case you needed more proof. Okay? As brief as that was, it needed to be explained and hopefully people understand it now. Sometimes I guess you just got to look in between the lines and the key word here and there which would explain whether it's already happened or if it's awaiting, such as Dylan's actual return. That's still pending. Now, there might be some people that join this video later on, complain and whine, say, where is it? What's this all about? Well, rewind to the beginning because that's where the contents are. What we can do now, I guess, is look back at some of the comments from a previous video or so. Now, as I said, there's some additional things that need to be covered, but I don't want to cover them in this video because it's its own thing, kind of like a different topic theme. Still to do with Dylan Rounds, still just as important, but I don't want it to get mixed up with a video like this. So, you know, some of these videos could be shorter, but it's for good reason, okay? Let's now head over to YouTube with the previous video I did and just kind of catch up on some of the comments there. I will just adjust it to the newest and we can start from the bottom. We've got a couple to get through. Just see what's being said here. Tom saying, have you read the recent post in Justin's Facebook page? Justin talks about Dylan coming home to his great-grandparents' house. Great-grandparents' house. So, yeah, that makes sense now. This really hit me. Well, hopefully, Tom, it makes more sense now as to what's really happened. Yeah, so the video has been done, literally, right now. Cleo, wow, didn't even know. Okay, appreciate hard work. Keep the case steady for me. Right. AB Creative. Not seen this person for a while. I don't know where they've been. Also, where has Nella? Was it Nella Bella? Is that what's his full name? What happened to Nella Bella? Anyone know? Joseph Lloyd, missing in action. Quite a few people when you think back, when you look back at it. Who knows? So AB says, I said since the beginning, look at Don. I believe 3 men were involved. It's a gut feeling. Well, I don't know what percentage believed that Don played a role. I mean, for quite some time, I was thinking that Don was involved in some way or another, more so for the simple fact that Don and Brenna are friends. And if they're close, I don't know, Brenna might open up. When Brenna wanted to pass the firearms onto Don, and then for Don to, you know, dob Brenna into the police, was Don doing it to save his own back? To try and disassociate himself from Brenna and the Dylan Rounds case? Maybe. I mean, I have labelled it as a bit of a snake in the grass, possibly. I want to know your thoughts. You know, do you think Don is one? Skeptical saying, good evening. Warlike Wrath watching on replay. Thumbnail and title gave me anxiety. I'm not looking forward to hearing an emotionless update from Candice Cooley. Good thing it's only 3 minutes long. Let's proceed. So, I've seen a couple of people now. So, it wasn't just Cleo. You know, originally Cleo said she kept freezing, like a freezer, like the North Pole. And she kept freezing. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to think. She got nervous. She felt sick inside. Her stomach fell off whenever watching Candice Cooley videos and her talking. But Skeptical also feels somewhat negative by the presence of Candice Cooley. Is there anybody else out there that has a negative feeling, presence when Candice Cooley is like talking in a video? Anyone? When I've seen videos of Candice Cooley, I don't really think much, right? I don't have a negative feeling when watching her videos. I don't have a positive feeling when watching her videos. I just simply watch and listen, and that's basically it, right? What's this one? Paused. Thank you for not sharing the interview. It's better to hear you explain it. I will only watch an interview with Candice Cooley if she's announcing Dylan's body is found. Yes, I'm critical. It's a mother thing. Next bullet point. So, I tend not to use clips always just because of copyright. I'm sick and tired of copyright on YouTube, right? It's just too messy. So, if I have scaled back, you know, not using music, certain visual effects not being used, certain clips not being used, it's just to protect myself, right? Because it's too messy. If there is a key moment, a critical point where it needs to be presented a small clip of the interview to get my point across as proof, evidence, or a comparison feature, then I will do that because it's necessary. That aside, though, you know, this format, I guess, has been working up to now, so there's no real need to change it. What's this one? So we've got a new viewer here just exploring, and they've actually got a profile picture of a pig. Kind of changes things up, because, you know, we've had a profile picture of an alien, a badger, a few dogs, some cats, but now we've got a pig. That's great. They said, I haven't heard any search on the water well. Any idea if it was searched? It's like a whisper I keep hearing. Check the well. Check So Tom Evans also mentioned it about checking the water well. Now, for me, I'm like, well, where is it? Does anyone have coordinates, first of all? And they replied, I don't, sorry, it's fine. It was to my understanding there was only one water well. Scott Natal showed a clip of it on his channel, but wasn't able to search the well. Right, so Scott Natal did go to it, but he wasn't able to access it. Well, maybe if Scott Natal is active, I'll try and reach out to him or leave a comment asking him, do you have the coordinates? The reason why I ask for coordinates, because then I can go on the maps and then it'll just zoom right into the spot, right? Now, I think Tom Evans was referring back to the water well being near to Chase's and Tracy's place of living or former place of living, somewhere in Montello north of it. The thing is, and it's to do with salty pancakes going to that area as well in the past with Kurt Wadsworth, and then there was a smell and then it made pancakes feel sick or something. One thing linking to another possibly. And then that's when Bob Farrell mentioned it recently about salty pancakes, supposedly knowing the location of Dylan Round's body and remains, but not opening up or telling anybody about it. So he's a part of the crime with Kurt. That was mentioned. Kind of escalated pretty quickly, but I just wanted to summarise that to you. Now, my question is to anybody and everybody watching, the location of the well, Chase Venstra's, Tracy's former place of living, does that have anything to do with the video I did titled Chase Venstra's Homestead Analysis, in which the dogs were found dead, chicken found dead in the coop, a hole in the ground, the cardboard box covered up with dirt, which had some Winchester rounds within it? Is that the location? I don't know. Is this the same location what Weezer was referencing in response or in acknowledgement of a rancher out there in Montello that had his things stolen by Chase Venstra and needed to get those items back but never knew the true location of it? Is this all linking back to that one spot, or are there multiple different locations? If anybody has a clue, feel free to leave a comment down below, because if it just so happened to all link together to one key spot and the possibility that I've already covered it in my previous videos, that's perfect. But is that likely going to happen? Probably not, but who knows. Moving on. Gene says, Heavy D's video in the grain shed, interview with the parents. I didn't know Brenner called the grandparents more or less blaming Chase. Also, I wonder why, after Dylan called his grandma, he walked the 5 miles to the grain shed instead of driving the truck. What? I don't remember hearing that. Did he call or did he text? Well, this is the thing. The story, what we've always been told by Candice Cooley, and in a way Justin Rounds, because Justin Rounds has never really gone against Candice Cooley, so they're kind of in line with one another. The original story was Dylan Rounds made a call near to the gate leading up to the grain shed property at 6:51 a.m. 28th of May 2022 to Karen Rounds, Dylan's grandmother, or grandma, however you say it. Okay? It was a call made. And Dylan basically told her what he was going to do with the grain truck and that he would call back later. But he never did, and so on and so on. Though, that story has changed over time. Not by any of the parents, but by what the likes of Bob Farrell, Corey, and some other people have said over time. Third-party people, some of which who are not even from the area, right? Who have a different story, who hold the knowledge, the key true information, which goes against what the family have said. That Dylan Rounds did not call the grandmother, that Dylan Rounds texted her and was going to call back on the phone later. But at least from what Candice Cooley has said, that's not the case. A call was made. And from Karen Rounds, the one that received a call from Dylan, also mentioned in the documentary she received a call from Dylan. So who is really lying there? Once again, at the end of the day, it's yet another divide, just like the gun and key fob, just like the truck, just like the pressure washer. There's a divide. Some say it did happen, others say it didn't, right? But at the end of the day, something did happen in consensus with everybody, with this example specifically speaking. And I'll explain it. So some, more so the family, said Dylan made a call to the grandmother. But then outsiders are saying that no, he only texted the grandmother and was going to call afterwards. Right, so which one is really the truth? What the family say or what outsiders say? Who do you believe there? Well, if you're genuinely confused and you don't know what to believe or trust, the common consensus is, whether it be a call or a text, form of communication was made to the grandmother. And that form of communication was what Dylan was planning on doing next. Moving the grain truck to the grain shed. The end. Right? And that he was going to respond back afterwards as well, such as calling back. So I think that, that divide, a form of communication was made in some way or another. That might be the easiest way to, flatten out all that disruption, disagreements, right? Because it is kind of like, I know it's the last form of communication, it's very important now, but the specificness of it, how the communication was made, some say this, some say that, it just seems why? Why does it need to be so complex? Why does it need to be, so back and forth over such a small thing, in a sense, right? So hopefully that clears up. What else needs to be mentioned by June in response to Heavy D's video, the interview, Heavy D's second video on the case? I didn't know Brenna called the grandparents, more or less blaming Chase. Well, from what I remember, it was Brenna that reached out to Justin, and Justin listened and didn't, respond back in a negative way, just let him talk. And Brenna was shifting the blame towards Chase Venstra, saying to Justin, you need to check this area out, you need to measure the distance from this road down to there and, search about because things might have been buried as well. That's what was basically mentioned. As for the grandparents, more so Karen Rounds, Brenna did call Karen and reach out to her. And basically all Karen did was correct Brenna on a lot of stuff, because Brenna wasn't aware that Karen knew more than what he was thinking. So basically Karen called Brenna out on the lies. Brenna did not take that too well and then responded, well, from now on you can talk to my attorney or lawyer. That was it, the end. Communication cut off. Probably not the best thing to do. Whilst, yes, you may hate the killer, if you could try and cooperate with them as much as possible for a better outcome, then you'd probably do that, right? Put certain things above other stuff, even if you really don't want to. If it leads to a greater outcome, then you'd at least try and make an effort. But obviously, that form of communication was severed, which is unfortunate. But the bit here where June says, I wonder why, after Dylan called his grandma, he walked the 5 miles to the grain shed. Well, he didn't. I don't remember interpreting it that way. If this is all from the Heavy D video, I don't know what really to say, because all it's ever been mentioned was Dylan took his grain truck up to the grain shed property, but before getting there, the gate was supposedly locked, or Dylan just stopped by the gate to then make the call. As for the walking back 5 miles was mentioned by Kenneth Cooley previously, in terms of once the truck was parked in the shed, then possibly walking back to his farm. But it seems like with the timestamps and everything, he never had that chance to walk back to his farm, though somebody else did afterwards based off the phone pings, and he was in possession of it. Okay? So I think it might have been muddled up slightly. Glenn as well, shout out to Glenn. Christy, what about the bags Kurt took away from the grain shed? What about Kurt in general? Great video as usual, Warlight Raf. Always on point and respectful. Thank you. You're welcome there. Appreciate that. So, Christy, when you talk about Kurt taking bags away from the grain shed, I'm just trying to think, what do you mean here? Are you responding back to the spring cleaning, June 2nd, 2022? Or are you, Christy, referring back to that one time where I analysed Glorrendellen's footage out there at the grain shed, where it was Glorrendellen, Salty Pancakes, Kurt Wadsworth. They were looking at the backhoe of Kurt, narrating it. And then in the background, you saw Kurt Wadsworth going back and forth near to the grain shed, taking things away and putting it into the back of his truck. Is that what you're referring to there, Christy? just let me know. If you were responding back to the spring cleaning, that was Brenner who was taking the bags out and putting them near or on his truck to then dispose of later. Okay. As for the stuff Kurt took away from the shed, who knows what that was. I think some people defended Kurt and said it was stuff that belonged to him anyway, so it's nothing that odd. To be honest, if it was anything dodgy, it would make me think, well, why did Kurt do it so much later on in the case when he could have done it earlier on, such as the decoy, that decoy to divert attention elsewhere. And as well, for Kurt to be doing it and get caught on camera in the background seems a bit silly. But, as Bob Farrell referenced recently, Kurt was supposedly caught on camera by Ellenberg hiding in his own bar. Not in his bar, in Saddle Sore Bar. Yeah. Oh, with the responses then. What's this? Tom, I was told the bags were full of feed for the dog, chickens and horse. I have nothing to verify this. Well, okay, well, at least that provides a bit of backstory there, possibly. So Tom seems to understand what Christie is referring to here, but I'm just wondering, is this to do with the footage of Glorindellen, where Kurt was in the background taking stuff to his vehicle, and I think he took a white bucket as well? Feel free to clarify, right? Oh, Skeptical with a long comment here. What's this about? Saying, yes, the land Don Hatley lived on should be searched. Was this not done already? Doesn't the evidence show Jim Brenner went past the pond on his way to Don Hatley's barbecue, disposing of Dylan's cell phone there? He also could have had Dylan's body with him when he got to Don Hatley's. I mean, you never know. I'm also interested in a bag or backpack Dylan could have carried with him to his custom work. Not so much with tools and stuff, but personal items, extra clothing, toiletries, and maybe a notebook or book where he kept track of financials. His wallet could have been in it as well. But tools are an interesting point as well. Makes sense. Dylan would have a toolbox. Was it still in his truck or taken by Jim Brenner to sell? I'm not entirely sure on that, but if there's anyone that can answer it down below, feel free to do so. As for the wallet, I think there was some talk recently by Bob Farrell saying that it has been found and that the family are lying about it. But honestly, if that was the case, why would they have to lie about a wallet, considering this far or this late on into the case, finding a wallet isn't that important, really? If there's been no bank transactions or activity there, then likely the wallet was discarded of as soon as possible, unless some loose change was taken out of it. But besides that, what else of interest could have been related to the wallet linking onto Dylan's case? I don't really know. I mean, finding Dylan's phone is probably one of the most important pieces of evidence, and that was done much earlier on, right? But as for the backpack or bag, toolkit, whatever, I know Tom Evans has referenced that as well and questioned the importance of it and where it could possibly be. So there's a few people that are thinking along that lines. Skeptical also says, will a private out public search find Dylan, or the random hunter hiker camper accidentally came across Dylan's body? I don't know. I mean, those posters were put up last summer during the hunting season. Be aware, on the lookout. None of the hunters found Dylan, though, did they? Or any evidence? I mean, with the Christine Passay Parker case, that hunter on the, 15th of August 2023, ended up coming across Christine's car just left abandoned and reported it to the police, which is obviously helpful. But when it comes to a car out in the open, it's going to stick out, right? It's going to be obvious at a certain distance. And you're trying to find a body and lightly buried. Is a hunter going to find that body? Unless they've got some kind of specialized dog with them and it just happens to tie in with one another, and then the dog reacts in a certain way near an area and then it's uncovered, but I doubt it. Or the chances of it seem low. Skeptical saying, Jim Terry is and was a huge mistake to Dylan's case from the very beginning. L.E., family friends, and Jim Terry all made mistakes. Do I think Jim Terry was a mistake in the Dylan Rounds case? I mean, at least, Jim Terry may have presented some photos here and there of the trailer, but did Jim Terry take them? No. It was other people that then reached out to Jim Terry or vice versa, and then the photos were exchanged, passed on, and then passed on again to other people's streams, such as Doug No Thanks or Tyler Feller. So Jim Terry may have collected this bit of material or that, but he didn't initially take it himself, nor has Jim Terry physically been out there either. So realistically, if you took Jim Terry out of the equation of the Dylan Rounds case, would Dylan Rounds have been found by now? Absolutely not. But would there have been less confusion and less conflict and less falling outs and less people out there getting hurt and less cancer? Yeah, for sure. We can even do a poll right now, okay? I'm sure some in the background will get a bit ruffled by this, but oh well. The poll can be, and I don't know how long it will last because of the video itself, but feel free to vote straight away. If Jim Terry didn't exist in the Dylan Rounds case, would the community, would the case itself be better overall? Not specifically in finding Dylan Rounds, but just the actual atmosphere and the community itself of trying to understand things without being bashed or attacked. Now, I personally think that if you take one person out of the equation, there are still other problems that lay about, such as Salty Pancakes and his potato picker gang, at least in the past, right? So I think it would have lessened the resistance and conflict, but there would have still always been a bit of an issue. I personally think, and it might sound a bit silly this, if basically nobody else existed, and I just casually came along covering this case as I have been, I think overall there would be significantly less problems. I can say that with great confidence now as well. Yes, granted, people could say, well, you wouldn't be getting anywhere either. Well, look where we are right now. Look at all the people that have come and gone. We're still nowhere closer, so I don't think it really makes a difference there. That's why I'm talking about the overall quality of life when it comes to the true crime community. I think if you eliminate certain individuals, it's a little bit better. Anyway, Caroline Middleton says, Jim Terry has a very selective memory. Last night on Bob's Live, he was asked if he had children, and he said no. Me personally, I have no clue what's going on there. I know people have made references in the past about child support or whatever. I don't know what dodgy stuff is going on in the background. Do I agree that Jim Terry has a selective memory? Well, what I would say, it doesn't just apply to Jim Terry. It can apply to Mr. X, Mark Terry, basically. It can also apply to Salty Pancakes, most definitely. Some of his audiences, most definitely. And maybe the others in the background. Selective memory exactly. More so that they know what's going on, but they push it to the back of their subconscious mind. So it's not quite repressed fully, but it's still there within, but they choose not to listen to it or think about it and instead show a form of denial, right? A form of denial because they may be in the wrong. A form of denial because, I don't know, they're receiving a bit of resistance, so they want to try and deflect, in a sense. Anyway, moving on. Tom, responding to Indiana. Corey asked me to make it clear to everyone that she didn't say that the wallet was found. The wallet was not found. I repeat, the wallet was not found as far as Corey or I know. Right, okay. Well, I already knew that because that's what Candice Cooley has said. And that's what makes it ironic, right? Whereas people can be bashing Candice Cooley 24/7 because of the reference, the key quote, well, from what Candice Cooley said, what Candice Cooley stated, what Candice Cooley previously said. Yeah, look here, the fact that the wallet has not been found yet, and Candice Cooley has made that clear previously in interviews. So what's changed? Where did the bullshit come from that the wallet was found? Oh, a third-party person who's not directly involved in the case. Wow, what a surprise. Not. And last but not least, Jacqueline saying, yes, Don's place needs to be searched. Has Don's place truly been searched? Well, let me give you my thoughts right now. From at least what I can remember, I do believe that the police did check the trailer out at least once when questioning Don or possibly looking for those firearms. And I remember it was mentioned something like the police were at Brenner's trailer at one point and may have saw through the window that the firearms were there, but didn't investigate immediately. Came back later on one of those warrants to search the property or so. But as for Don's, one thing I do feel is it's not been properly searched, more so the ground, the surrounding area, such as digging it up. Has that not happened because it's classified as private land and Don has protested? Well, has he ever protested? Okay, Don's no longer at that property, but it's still classified as private land, so he still owns it. If he still owns it, is that because he intends on returning back to that location in the future? Why did he not sell that land if it's private? Or has it already been sold and it's been passed on to somebody else that now owns it? I don't know. All I know is it's classified as private land, and it was last owned by Don Hatley at least, who's no longer there because he's in Casper City, Wyoming, with family, right? So what happens now? Well, I personally think that it's a place of interest, but unfortunately, because time's dragged on, I don't know if the opportunity has gone by now, if there was bits of evidence over that way. I mean, Ty Corbin, Lance Kelly have refused to go over there and search because it's classified as private land and they don't want to get into trouble. I kind of understand that. But, why have no other groups pushed it or tried doing something? Because what I want to put into perspective, when it came to Brenner's former place of living, classified still as Brenner's property, that burnt down trailer back in Montello where Brenner used to live, right? Lance Kelly went down there. Anybody else? Maybe Arizona Traveler? Arizona Traveler is a bit of a peculiar individual because they're obsessed about the wig and hair, kind of in alignment with Salty Pancakes, but also claim to have been out there. But as well, you look at their channel nowadays, supposedly, unless it's a fake account, the profile picture's gone green and default and there's no videos on the person's channel, but they've got 1,000+ subscribers. So where's all their content gone? Arizona Traveler as well said something in the past that they had to delete or hide, privatize one of the videos because they were told to do so. Maybe by a family member, I don't know, but it's kind of odd. So besides that, people have been down to Brenner's burnt down property trailer in Montello. And Lance Kelly made that call to the police and pushed it to get it investigated. Candice Cooley, I think she was more on the lines of, why go over that way? Do we need to? I don't think Candice Cooley was quite there with it in, right, let's go, let's check it out, why not? Didn't seem to happen. But the police finally went down there. Was that all because of Lance Kelly? Mostly. I think Ty Corbin said he played a role as well, making a call or so. But just that, that push, that presence of police, Ellie, get down here, give it a search. You never know what you may find. Was anything found? No. Were those shovels planted there and staged? Well, some people believe so. I don't know. It seems a bit dodgy in its own right. But at least it was searched regardless. That's the main thing. Has it been searched ever since? No. Considering Candice Cooley likes double-checking locations, I'm surprised she didn't go back over that way or wanted it to be checked a second time just in case, right? So if a place like that has been searched, right, and deeply searched, holes being dug or it being mapped out with flags and markers when, Lance Kelly went back thereafter, searches were done, dogs were used, penetrating radar or something was used as well. Right place, right time. So why hasn't that been applied to Don's place, right? And people could say, well, when you think of Don's place, it's unlikely Dylan's going to be there. Well, isn't it unlikely that Dylan was going to be at Brenner's burnt down property then, because it's even further away from the crime scene? And people would say, no, but that belongs to Brenner. And because Brenner's familiar with the area, he might have returned back to it because it's a place where no one would think to look. Right. But what about Brenner going to Don's place, the barbecue on the day of Dylan's death? Bit of a link there, dropping the phone off at the pond, then going on to Don's. Was anything else dropped off along the way? Did Brenner confess to Don on the day? From going from here to over there, why did he go over that way besides the barbecue? Was there any other particular reason? What went on at there? Any discussions or anything? You get what I'm saying? And with Don Hatley being in proximity kind of to Dylan and more so to Brenner, and proximity in terms of their rapport with one another, being friends, maybe Don plays a role. Whether he saw something he wasn't supposed to, or Brenner confessed to him and Don has kept quiet since, whichever way. Whether Don is some kind of witness or more, a suspect, then it makes good reason to be searching his property, the trailer, the land, the ground, drones, full spectral drones, cadaver dogs. Has any of that been used at Don's place? I don't know. Police supposedly have been down there, but it was more to have a brief search or look about, not like a full-on, let's turn up the land and dig deep. This would have been early on in the case when Dylan was presumed just missing and not actually killed and down to a homicide case, right? So I think it does need checking out. Will it ever be? I don't know, but I think it does. And if you think back, if Brenner's former place of living was checked by police and that was because of the likes of Lance Kelly, Ty Corbin calling into the police and pushing it, then why don't they do the same to Don's trailer and place? Is it because it's that late on now that the police would probably shrug it off and say, nah, we don't need to go down there, we've already been there? Maybe if it was pushed really early on, just maybe, it could have turned out better. Now, in terms of Chase's place, or one of Chase's places, Tracy's place of living, some kind of well Scott Natal's been at, maybe another place that needs searching. Place Salty Pancakes was at and smelt something bad. Same location or elsewhere, I don't know. Maybe another place that needs double checking. But unfortunately, for all these different locations, true coordinates have not been provided, and I just don't understand. How hard is it to provide coordinates? You know, the practical thing with coordinates, it takes you directly to that location on the maps. Who wouldn't want that? You get what I'm saying? And yet, still to this day, people have not been able to provide them. It's unfortunate. It really is. But that aside, I feel that there are places of interest still out there which haven't been fully searched or utilised, such as by the police, those special search private groups, which might have been spending more time at the Grainshed property in places that have already been double checked, rather than these other locations what we've referred to. And that's possibly a missed opportunity. I guess it is what it is. So, I think if you have just suddenly joined into this live premiere, welcome. But you want to hear about the main part of this video, you need to rewind back to the start of this video, okay? Because that's where it was talked about. As for everybody else, hopefully you understood the video, the explanation of it, and that you're no longer confused. If you need to rewind it back, you can do so if needed. You want to check out previous videos or the links down below in the pinned comment section, feel free to do so. But I think we'll leave it there. There will be another video coming tomorrow, providing there's no roadblocks, and maybe the day after. But I think for now, let's just let it settle. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye and good night for now.